What's up, guys? It's visual effects artist react time. Man, we have some new clips, the newest of the new clips.
Because I failed!
Look how dim that lightsaber is. It's not even blowing out.
We also have literally the oldest clip. A clip so old, no one even is living that was in this clip.
Oh my God, they're doing it.
They did do it!
They're doing it.
Did you guys watch Acolyte at all?
No.
No, look, the whole internet has all taken their collective turns trying to, throw punches at the show, taking it out saying it's too dumb, it's not a good Star War. Here's the thing, today we're taking a more reasoned approach to the show, and we're simply gonna dunk on the lightsaber effects.
How are these lightsabers something that we can dunk on? Surely they've been perfected at this point, right?
Lightsabers are like a steak. It's a simple thing to do. People have been doing it for years. You think, oh, you can't mess up a steak, huh? Turns out, like steaks, lightsabers can be messed up. Just random lightsabers floating around in the woods.
I mean, I'm not seeing anything bad. I feel like they're getting the glow right. As it moves across the screen, it actually kind of like lowers in brightness.
So you pointed out something right away, Wren, that I also noticed immediately when I was watching this. They're doing that very physically accurate motion blur. The end is moving faster than the center, right? So the motion blur on the end is getting spread out more. Those photons are getting spread out, bringing that exposure down and getting rid of that white glow and bringing in color.
Like if you were to pause on any of these shots where they're like mid-swing, you can actually see a little bit of a color gradient between like the color and the core whiteness of it.
Yes, but I was first super into this when I saw it, and I spent some time thinking about it, and little by little, a dark feeling crept over my heart. And that is, these just look like LED tubes. And lightsabers, like, look how dim that room is.
I did kind of notice that.
Look how dim that lightsaber is. It's not even blowing out. It's like it's exposed correctly in this dark forest. Like that is truly the brightness of like my phone screen turned up on maximum.
It's a weird discussion because it's an effect that's been studied and replicated by so many people. It's been done in movies over 40 years. It's becoming too real. Like us as VFX artists critiquing it. Like, well, hold on. The way color reacts under motion blur, would make it look like this and stuff. And so it's like, in a weird way, we're getting into that territory where maybe it's truthful to the way light works, but now it's not quite the fantasy object that it was meant to be.
Why aren't you a Jedi, Osha?
Because I failed!
Ooh, that's rough.
It's definitely weird. I mean, like, obviously, if you think about it too much, it really falls apart quickly.
The lightsaber is literally darker than the sky.
This is interesting. So when we made lightsabers for men, you start to get to an area here where it's like that one, charcoal black. Obviously, you don't get a dark glow on a bright object, and you don't get a dark glow on a dark object either. So blaze orange, are we referring to the color of a glow or the core? Because if the core is orange, it's like it's not gonna make an orange glow.
Yeah, it'd literally be like holding this. It's literally would glow as much as this does.
So you get to that territory now where you're faking.
Was that just on the ground?
It was.
My point is, when you're forcing a color to appear, if it's on a bright background, you need to do some tricks to make that glow show up. And in a show about lightsabers, and you hold one up, you want to see the color glow all along it. Well, that clearly looks like a shot where they said, hey, you know what? Let's actually dim the footage so we can have that color get on top of that.
Dimming the footage to make the glow pop.
Look at that weird dark edge there.
I do like the flickeriness of this one though, because that was like a thing with Kylo Ren's lightsaber. It was more flickery than others.
I have really mixed feelings on this because on one hand, there's a lot of things that are happening that you never used to be able to do with lightsabers because they'd always be drawn on afterwards. You'd never be able to have light cast from them in the scene. You wouldn't be able to have crazy things in front of it like leaves and stuff they'd have to roto out or paint around by hand. You wouldn't be able to have atmosphere and fog because you couldn't have it lit up by the lightsaber. But now because in real life we have LED technology that's come so far, we can have real practical props lighting the scene. But now it ends up becoming this feedback loop where the aesthetics of lightsabers becomes the aesthetics of LEDs. And so the lighting of the room becomes dim to match the brightness of LEDs. And the colors of the lightsabers become the colors that LEDs can do. And it just becomes very LED aesthetic, and it doesn't quite stay laser aesthetic, which is what I always felt like the lightsabers were.
But like, is the average person gonna notice that difference?
Oh, hi! You caught me doing my lightsaber training. Which is super easy, by the way, thanks to today's sponsor, Vessi. And their new shoe, the Courtside Classic. The best part about training in my Vessis is the fact that they're super durable and versatile, which means they can handle any move I throw at them. What? Ah! Ow! It turned off. I can also train any time of the year because of their Dymatex materials. They keep my feet nice and cool in the warm months, and they keep them nice and warm in the cold months. And on top of all that, I can train anywhere because these are waterproof. I can wear them here in the dirt, later in the rain, tomorrow in the snow, and if they get dirty, I can just wash them off. Oh, and also, whenever you want to take a break from training, these have a more casual vibe to them. That's perfect for going out with friends, walking the city, or whatever you do outside of lightsaber training. If someone in your dojo needs a pair of shoes that they can train anywhere in, then hop on over to Bessie.com/corridorcrew for 15% off your first pair of Bessies. All right, it's time you guys got back to react. You don't want to see this.
I thought it'd be cool, since we're looking at lightsabers, to look at every single lightsaber in every single main Star Wars franchise. Here's Return of the Jedi. This is your classic lightsaber, like white core, but this is like film print optical glow. As in, like, that's a real light shining through film and blooming out through filters. So then moving on to like Phantom Menace here, this is truly like After Effects, Photoshop, draw a shape, it's pure white, throw an outer glow on it, call it a day. Once again, kind of the same thing. You get a lot of like straight edges on the lightsabers because people don't always perfectly follow the motion blur. The thing about these lightsabers here is this is all a post effect. They are fighting with sticks on the stage, truly just fighting with like aluminum rods. So there's no reflection of the lightsabers, there's no light hitting the actors, but at the same time, there's bright lights in the scene. There's huge sci-fi lights right behind them because they don't have to worry about trying to like key out the lightsaber LEDs or anything like that. There is one other thing. Because they're fighting with sticks, they can go way harder than if they're fighting with LED tubes. And you notice that too in the choreography. It's subtle, because it's not quite a visual effects thing, but it is. In the Acolyte and the newer Star Wars films, when they're fighting with the glowing lightsabers, it's a little more chill versus like breaking the aluminum rods that they were doing back in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So now you get really digital with your lightsabers as you keep going through the prequels.
Wow.
Where it's like really feeling like After Effects filter rotoscoping. And then this is like the first glow from a lightsaber you're starting to get. That's Count Dooku. And like they're actually starting to get like the LEDs or some sort of lighting on the characters in the cartoon. So this is the cartoon. So they're getting more artsy, the cartoon, with 3D animation. But you notice there's things like the red glow not wrapping around Darth Maul's elbow.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Probably because they're treating it as this almost like physical manifestation of motion blur, like an animation smear, as opposed to like a physically based representation of, you know, like a stick being blurred or a light being blurred.
But then again, we should also be seeing a lot more just red lighting on him and the rest of the shots. So that leads me to believe that this is very much so a stylistic choice rather than like they didn't do it.
I'm enjoying this Star Wars lightsaber tour, by the way.
Yeah?
This lightsaber museum. Yeah, this is great so far.
Buckle up, because now we're getting into physical rendering territory. So
This is the Force Awakens.
this was really interesting, because this is the first time we saw lightsabers that were like 3D tracked elements on top of the lightsabers that then had physically based motion blur. So Finn's lightsaber in the middle there is kind of dipping down from white to blue, and same thing with Kylo Ren's lightsaber. But they keep the lightsabers a little bit brighter, and they keep that glow really saturated compared to the Acolyte. So now we're in modern lightsabers. Now we're really getting physical with our motion blur. We're really getting into the era of LED tubes. But boy, those are some dim lightsabers, aren't they?
Yeah, lightsabers just weren't that bright 1,000 years ago.
These look a bit better, in my opinion.
Yeah, these look fine.
These have the kind of brightness I'd expect. Like, they're casting a lot more light.
They feel pretty hot and bright, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Look how bright that is. See, that's white.
Yeah.
That's white.
That's white.
There we go. There we go. We got it. We got it. Found the part in the show where they show that color.
Lost in Space.
Lost in Space.
1998. Matt LeBlanc, star of Friends.
Joey.
How you doing? I'm in a space movie. This was a big movie at the time. It had the highest number of visual effects shots in any movie released up until that point, with 750 shots.
I remember they're so jazzed about their helmet shot, the Matt LeBlanc turning and aiming his gun and tick, 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 the helmet going down across his face. Ooh, okay, is that real at the end there?
That's some cool compositing they did there.
Oh, I know what they did. I got it figured out.
Yeah, because he's wearing the real helmet the whole time.
He's wearing the real helmet the whole time.
But what about the CG helmet? How are they animating all that?
It looks like they just have pictures from the real helmet in that shot. They're just like shrinking and moving those elements around to like make it appear. But there's definitely like a filmed after the fact Joey Tribbiani head. Sorry, Matt LeBlanc. Look, Wren's always calling an actor by their like most well-known character name, and it's always like, Wren, they're professionals. They do more than just that character. Now here I am calling this guy Joey the whole time.
There is absolutely no CG in this shot.
Is it all image cutouts and movement?
Exactly. Wow. Essentially, all they did was they did 2 takes, or I assume they did many different takes, but with him without the helmet and one with him wearing the helmet, doing the exact same motion, trying to get the timing of that motion perfect, and they're basically just animating on still images of the helmet, and they're just taking slices of the helmet and just expanding it up. That's just very clever rotoscoping at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
But you know what makes this shot work so well? The attention to detail on the shadows underneath the blades.
You only go and lock it in the frame at that moment when it's supposed to appear, and then all you need is 3 frames of it going up. It's very similar to that one effect you frequently see on social media where a person's posing and their hand falls down and locks into where their hand is in the future. That's basically this effect. That's a classic shot, man. I haven't seen that in a while, but I remember that being like really, really iconic.
I am really excited to show you guys this clip. This is from the Johnstown Flood, which is about a flood that happened in 1889 that killed 2,000 people after a dam broke. This movie contains, in my opinion, the first ever disaster sequence committed to film.
So what year did this movie come out?
This came out in 1926.
Oh my God.
1926.
It's almost 100 years ago.
So 2 film historians, Robert Harris and James Makowski, restored this. They took the original 35mm prints, fixed all the damage, fixed the degrading material of the film, got rid of all the fuzz, the dust. 35mm film is crazy high def, and seeing an old restored film like this in full quality is pretty incredible.
And it's basically safe to say that every single person in this film is not alive anymore.
Oh, easy. Not even the babies. So at least we don't have to worry about insulting anyone who worked on this movie.
Yeah.
Some miniature trees going down the little miniature stream. You can tell because the way it is.
Oh, these guys are all gonna die. Dude, the classic disaster movie tropes. You know, setting up the guys who aren't paying attention are totally gonna get wasted.
Yeah!
Oh my God.
Wait, what?
Oh, wow.
Wait!
Yeah.
Wait!
Yeah. How about that?
Oh my God!
They just went for it, man. They were like, you know what, this isn't gonna be a good composite, but it's gonna be evocative of the moment.
The build-up here to the disaster is so modern, and the way they're like, crazy, crazy, a wedding. Here comes the bride, here comes the groom. Like, it's so Roland Emmerich. It's crazy how modern this feels.
There we go again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro!
Is that crazy?
Wait, okay, hold on.
They took that horse across that bridge, and then they destroyed that bridge in a miniature.
How?
So what it is I think what we're looking at is we have the miniature there, and then what we have is like a sandy dirt lot or something with like a white kind of surface on the ground. It could be even just like some concrete. And basically what they're doing is they're having the horse and buggy ride a similar path.
Which is all black, by the way. Black horse, black buggy.
Black horse, black buggy, exactly. And then all they're doing is just simply doing like a darkened kind of mode on there.
So
Yeah, they're just putting the film on top of it, but strategically exposing it, so you just have a black horse and a black buggy on a white background. And it just like kind of becomes shadow when it's put on the black and white here. But they're also, it looks like they're also fading between the miniature from before and after the flood hits it too. Like, this looks like it's one shot of the miniature, and the flood hitting it is actually like another take of the miniature, it appears. It's hard to say, because it kind of just becomes a wash of chaos, but like, they're also just nailing the miniature effects. For like 1926, it's perfect. Like the logs, like the debris, the destruction, the way the water flows. That guy just got ran over.
oh
Dang,
my
I'm going hard in
God!
this movie.
This is legitimately a disaster film.
Wow, interesting.
Wait.
So they're doing the opposite effect now.
The opposite. Now the base plate for the majority of the shot is the actual real footage of the town, but instead they're doing screen mode of the water flying over the miniature. So they probably had like some water and debris flying over like some maybe black duvetine or something like that, and they're double exposing this shot, which is why we're not seeing any dark details within the flooding. Anything that's bright is showing up.
Yeah, so now anything that's dark or shadow is becoming transparent. Anything that's white is becoming opaque.
Basically what's going on is we have a live action plate that's on the right and the bottom, we also have the flood element, which is coming down the street there, but also that distant city is a matted element as well.
So the roto, those people in the foreground there, it's so chunky because they're probably doing roto on the film itself. Like they're probably actually dealing with a roto at film size. Because all this stuff, like it was optical printers. Like ILM had optical printers in their warehouse, which is what made ILM back in the day. But having that specialized hardware to be able to take film, blow it up into big pictures, do rotoscoping, and then bring it back down and take exposure to your stacks. Like you needed special hardware for that, and that hardware did not exist in 1926. This is working with the film on a table and like cutting it together and stacking it and just taking more pictures with more film.
Yeah, and they're definitely like going through and being like, all right, going from back to front of the room, and then eventually just those last few bits get covered up very quickly.
It's so amazing. Like obviously the techniques have changed, the technology has changed, but it's so cool seeing 100 years ago, like how you're gonna conceptually structure these visual effects shots. It's the same.
Yeah.
You know, and like the same knowledge that you gain today, it's like, well, it's that was still being used. It's all under the same roof.
Yeah, that was really cool to see.
Flood those comments with your suggestions for clips you should look at. If you want to see an extended version of this episode and all our other episodes, consider supporting us on corridordigital.com. It helps us stay independent. See you next week or tomorrow.